What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into week 2. It's our early best bets, looks at the NFL and our survivor pools. He's Fitzy. I'm Perrault. I'm playing hurt. It's two guys talking football wearing baseball hats today. Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope to give you some early looks as to what the NFL is going to look like and keep you alive in those survivor pools. Fitzy, how did week 1 go for you?
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, Matt. Enough that I basically lost the juice and, kind of a 500 week. What about you? How was the betting and how's the shoulder? When are you going to be able to give the Red Sox 5 innings?
It's going to be a while before I can throw anything. The shoulder is okay. It's a pectoral tendon tear surgery that I have, or had. So it's been an interesting week. I'm not going to lie. It's coming along. It's definitely different to sit here and not have the ability to use your right arm, but we're going to battle through. And luckily, I don't dig ditches for a living, so I'm okay to just sit and talk. So that's our job here. Week 1 for me went pretty well. The Vikings game kind of tapped off what was a pretty good week for me. The comeback by J.J. McCarthy and company in the second half definitely kind of turned the tide for me, and he played pretty well. I had him for a couple of touchdown tosses at plus money, so that was good to get him to go and complete that. So overall, a good first week. But what was your biggest surprise? What score stuck out to you and made you go, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be my Green Bay Packers thumping the Detroit Lions pretty decidedly, because Detroit had really had their number, 6-1. 5-1 for the Lions over the last 3 years, with Dan Campbell just sort of, having it over Matt LaFleur for a while. And man, I mean, limited snaps for Micah Parsons, but even when he was not on the field, the Green Bay defense was just lights out.
Agreed. For me, it was the scoring for the Jets and the Steelers. I didn't see that coming. That was my worst bet of the week. I had the under in that. I bet that early. I thought 39 was going to be good. I expected a 10-7 football game, and we got 34-32. So I was not expecting Aaron Rodgers to throw for 4 touchdowns, to throw for over 240 yards and no interceptions in his debut, and no one has done that in 60 years in the NFL. So that was an eye-opener to me. We'll get into that week 2 for the Steelers here coming up. All right, so the format for this, guys, we're going to give you 3 bets each that we like right now for week 2, then a survivor play that you guys can look to lock in, and then a bet you should make right now, as the numbers very well might move on you in a way to get the best of the numbers here early in the week. So, Pat, for you, bet number 1, what are you looking at for week 2?
I am looking at the Commanders and the Packers on Thursday night, going under 48.5. Matt, the Packers have given up 17.9 points a game over their last 10, dating back to last year and including their playoff game. They just played their first game with Micah Parsons and held the Lions, who have one of the best offenses in the league, to 13 points and 4 yards per play. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley is just a sharp guy. He is a future head coach in the NFL. Giving him Micah Parsons was just unfair. Green Bay is going to have one of the best defenses in the league this year. Also, the Green Bay offense operated at a snail's pace in week 1, the 4th slowest pace in the league. They were run heavy again, just as they were last year. So I think the Packers could be kind of an under machine this year. And, the Commanders, they just won their opener over the Giants 21-6. Their defense looked good. So betting the under here is mostly about the Packers with their excellent D and their slow-paced, run-heavy offense, but also about the defenses just generally being ahead of the offenses across the league. Matt, we saw a lot of unders hit in week 1, and I think, weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure that of the early afternoon starts on Sunday, Jets-Steelers was the only one that went over.
Yeah, 3 games in total wound up going over in week number 1. So heavy on the unders. Defenses playing way ahead of the offenses. I don't know if that continues in week 2, but I do think the Packers are going to shut down the Commanders. And that's the same game I'm looking at as well. And I don't know if it's because it's your team, you don't want to take them, but I think the Packers are going to cover that 3.5 point spread. And I know that the books are making you stop and go, you sure you want to bet more than 3? And that's why they put the hook on it to kind of keep people off of it. But I don't think the Commanders are going to move the football. And I think this is where Micah Parsons in week 2, you can build a package ready to go for him to chase down a very mobile quarterback and get, Daniels to the ground and not allow him to beat you with his legs. Look, I think the Giants are a bad football team, and I think the Giants are going to be a bad football team all year. I don't care who plays quarterback for the Giants. That offense is not going to be successful week to week. So I know they only scored 6 points. I don't think Commanders' defense is any good. I think the Packers are going to move the football on that defense. I think they'll run the football on that defense. I like your team to go to 2-0 here, and there's going to be a lot of talk about this Packers team and what they may look like coming up, say, January, February. They've got the quarterback. They've got the receivers now. How'd you like Matthew Golden's debut in a Packer uniform?
A little quieter than I would have liked. Hopefully he'll be a little more active in the weeks to come, but we kind of knew it was going to be an ensemble cast of pass catchers for Green Bay. One thing I'll add, Matt, and the reason I may eventually wind up betting the Packers and tailing you on this one is it's just a more comfortable setup for the Packers. They opened at home and they get to stay at home in the short week. Yeah. Commanders have to travel in the short week. So,
and it's quick, right?
Yeah.
Week 1 to week 2. Think about when you started a new workout regimen, what your body feels like after the first week or the first couple of days. You're like, oh, playing your first NFL football game and then having to turn around and play on a Thursday night on the road in a hostile environment with Micah Parsons and Jordan Love. It's a recipe for success. I'm actually surprised the number is not higher than 3.5, to be quite honest. And I think it's just in the market at the moment. People think the Commanders are going to be the same Commanders team as last year. I don't agree with it. And I think the Packers are going to be a much better team than people think. We may look back on this number in a couple of weeks and go, man, we got the Packers at 3.5 on Thursday night against the Commanders. Whew, that was a steal of a price. So I like the Packers here over the Commanders, laying 3.5. For number 2, game for you, which is it?
Another under. Cowboys Giants under 44.5. And I'm just going to keep betting unders on Giants games until I lose one. They just lost to the Commanders 21-6. The Giants are going to be an under machine this year. Their offense stinks. It's possible we see them make a QB change as early as this week. They don't have Andrew Thomas, their star left tackle. I don't think they're supposed to get him back this week. And the rest of the offensive line is terrible. And on defense, the Giants have Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter wreaking havoc up front. The Cowboys had a respectable offensive showing against a good Eagles defense in week 1, although the Eagles lost Jalen Carter before the game in that one for the spitting episode. But this is still a pretty one-dimensional Dallas offense with very little punch in the running game. Dak Prescott is going to have to try to make plays against this Giants defense that can really put the heat on quarterback. So I think this one plays under 44.5.
Yeah, I'm going to trail you on this. I know I'll be on the under. There is a pretty good chance I'm going to be on the Cowboys as well. Early in the year, I'm going to fade the Giants. I'm on the under 5.5 wins for the Giants. I've been down on them all summer, and nothing happened in week 1 that led me to go, yeah, I want to go ahead and take the Giants at any number. And I know 8 is heavy, and so that's why I wouldn't say bet it right away. Let's watch the number a bit and see if you can wind up getting a better number. Maybe the pro money comes in on the Giants because the professionals can't help themselves when it comes to plus money and plus 8. So they take the Giants. Maybe we get a 7.5 or a 7 on the Cowboys, but most likely I'm going to wind up being on the Cowboys. But from an under perspective, yeah, I mean, the only fear is that the game gets away from the Giants and it turns into a 38-7 type of game, and it just gets really, really ugly on New York. If there's a lot of interceptions, if from an under perspective, I'd rather have Russ play than Jackson Dart, just because the interception potential is super high for Jackson Dart. So I don't want the turnovers and the short fields and the easy points for Dallas. So that would be my only concern with the under. But if it is going to be like Dabble said, if he's going to play at least to start with Russell Wilson, yeah, I like your bet with the under a lot. I'm going to talk about, we talked going on the road, and I think Seattle is going to have a tough time here going to Pittsburgh in their home opener with what we just saw out of this offense, with Renegade in full throat, because a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans went into week 1 going, I don't know about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know about this team. And I know the defense gave up a bunch of points, but I feel like the Steelers can fix the defense pretty quickly. And I'm not in love with what I saw out of Sam Darnold in that Seahawks offense. And look, big jumps from week 1 to week 2, but that's a defensive-minded team. I don't mind the under, but I'm a little gun-shy because the Steelers just burned me. And what happens if Aaron Rodgers puts up another big game against a defense that we think is going to be pretty good? So I have not bet the under yet in this game, but I like the home Steelers laying just a field goal against a team going across the country in week number 2 for the Steelers and the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of this, is that the Seahawks have to travel coast to coast early in the season. So I don't know what to make of the Seahawks, Matt. I certainly expected a better offensive showing in week 1 with Clint Kubiak, who an offensive coordinator I generally like and have faith in. They just look kind of ragged at home against the Niners in week 1. One thing though, like I expect their running game to get going a little bit. I think the running game usually works for the Kubiaks, whether it's Clint or his dad Gary back in the day. And like the Pittsburgh run defense did not look that great in week 1 against the Jets. They let Breece Hall have kind of a big day on the ground. It seemed like they were missing Keanu Benton, their nose tackle. So I'm a little nervous about this one, Matt. I don't know if I'm going to be on it. I'm not betting Seattle, but I don't know if I have enough faith in the Steelers yet with Aaron Rodgers to take this one. So
we know you're high. You like Seattle. You liked him last week. You liked him, and then we talked in week 1.
Got burned.
You like Seattle. I need to see more out of the Seahawks before I can get to your side.
Very fair.
And look, Sam Darnold, I mean, I love Kevin O'Connell. I love the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy had a bad first half, and then J.J. McCarthy played his butt off in the second half against the Bears on the road. And it was like, okay, the coach got to the kid, calmed him down, focused him, got him, in the right mindset. I don't know if there's anybody like that on the Seattle Seahawks sidelines with Sam Darnold. So on the road to Pittsburgh, really tough place to play. And the Steelers defense gave up over 30 points in week 1. I don't think that happens again coming up in week number 2. For game number 3 for you, Pat, where are you going?
I can't wait to hear your take on this one, Matt, because I am taking your Patriots on the money line, going to Miami. On the road, the Patriots plus 105.
In September. Uh-oh.
Matt, this is all about the Dolphins, who are an early candidate for the disaster team of 2025. I mean, they were just smoked by the Colts in their season opener, 33-8. And none of us are really expecting the Colts to be world beaters this year. The Colts outgained the Dolphins 418 yards to 211 yards in that game. Tua Tagovailoa looked awful at quarterback for Miami. The Dolphins defense made Daniel freaking Jones look like a star. I don't think this was a one-off bad performance. Like the Dolphins have been giving off terrible vibes for a while. I don't think Mike McDaniel is going to last the season as head coach. And, the Patriots weren't exactly world beaters in week 1. They lost their home opener to the Raiders, but that game was at least competitive throughout. And I don't know, man, I'm curious about your expectations for the Raiders. I don't know that I'm expecting a lot of wins this year, but I do expect them to play respectably all year under Mike Vrabel. And, I will happily take them at plus money to beat this Miami team.
Yeah, it is interesting. The first move came on Miami. I think that was a historical move because generally speaking, the Patriots, when they play in September in Miami, melt. It's normally 100 degrees. They put the opposing team in the sun side of the field. Dolphins normally are very competitive. And then the Patriots return the favor in December when the Dolphins must go to New England and play in the freezing cold. So when it's scheduled out like this, generally the Patriots split with the Dolphins. However, effort, to go back just to Pop Warner football, what's the one thing you control, and it's effort. And there was no effort there for the Dolphins in week number 1. Daniel Jones scored on his first 7 possessions. That's Daniel Jones from the New York Giants scored on 7 consecutive possessions to start his career with the Indianapolis Colts. If I'm a Dolphin fan, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how do we get out of this? And when do we fire the head coach and try to make something of this season? Because you can't have Tua fighting with receivers. Tyreek Hill is already yelling at people. The Patriots should have Christian Gonzalez back. I think they held him out knowing who they're playing in week number 2, saying, okay, let's hopefully get past the Raiders without Christian Gonzalez. It didn't happen, unfortunately. The Patriots, I think the Raiders are going to be better than people think. We'll talk more about them here in a second. I was not surprised. I was on the Raiders. I took them at +3. I think Geno Smith and company are going to surprise some people early, and the defensive line, led by Max Crosby, has the potential to do some real damage for Vegas. So the Patriots losing has everybody in my neck of the woods, where I'm sitting right now in New Hampshire, freaking out. But I'm not freaking out. I like your play. I think the Patriots are one of the teams that will make a big step from week 1 to week 2. And I think Drake May will make a big step from week 1 to week 2. I think he needs to learn what this offense looks like under Josh McDaniels in real time, under fire, with the bullets flying, not in preseason, not in practice. What's it like to quarterback this offense when you're actually playing in a game? And I think film study wise, I expect Drake May and company to make a big step forward. I like your play. I like the Dolphins. I like the Patriots to beat the Dolphins, even though historically speaking, it's been a house of horrors.
Yeah. The trends, I think, are going to keep this low. I don't think we're going to see this move in the direction of the Patriots at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge point, that you're going to be able to see people are going to be a bit scared, if you will, to go and say, okay, yeah, go jump on the Patriots, and you may get a plus money price, or +1, +2. If you don't want to play money line, you can take the points as well. With the Patriots and the Dolphins. For me, and I had a hard time finding a third one, I'll admit, because the Raiders, if I had to put one in here, it would be the Raiders game on Monday night, but we'll get to that in a second. I really liked what I saw out of Tampa, and I think their receiving core is going to be really hard to stop. And Baker Mayfield is going to have a huge year for Tampa. I'm big on them to win the division. At a couple different points in that game, they probably should have lost to the Falcons in week 1, but they found a way to win on the road in a divisional situation. And so to me, I go, you know what? I don't like the Texans. I haven't been high on them going into the year, and I wasn't high on them last year. I'm not high on them this year. There's a famous joke that people who know me say that I can't pick Texans games. That's like my blind spot. So fading the Texans in week 2 may be a bad idea. But I'll take the Falcons here. Sorry, I'll take the Buccaneers here on Monday night in the early game on the road to surprise some people. I know it's a travel for Tampa. Back-to-back road games, always a fear. But that extra day of rest, I think, might counteract that back-to-back travel because they're playing on Monday night. How do you feel about the Bucs on the road to the Texans?
Pretty good getting points with a Todd Bowles defense bringing pressure from unexpected places against the worst offensive line in the league. That's what makes me like this game and getting points with this one, Matt. And, like Baker Mayfield, I do worry a little bit about the Buccaneers being able to keep Baker Mayfield clean if they don't have Tristan Wirfs trying to help block the combination of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Like, that could be a problem for Mayfield. But he's also a mobile and, really resourceful quarterback. Like, I respect the ability of Baker Mayfield to operate under duress and make plays off script. So I'm with you on this, Lean. Like, I like this one too. I don't feel good about the Texans offense right now. No running game, terrible offensive line. CJ Stroud is, kind of a pocket passer who needs time back there to feel comfortable. And, he's got a lot of new receivers too. Just Nico Collins is really the only incumbent there. So I'm kind of with you on this one. I think there's value with the points.
Football season's here. That means Hard Rock Bet. You can make a $5 bet and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Hard Rock Bet is the only leading legal sports book in the state of Florida, but it's also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado. More states coming online, like Nevada, very soon. You can also play Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you're in the state of New Jersey. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. All right, those are our 3 games that each of us like early looks for week 2. Let's talk survivor pools here. If you advanced past week 1, you're alive for week 2. What's a play you would make here for a survivor pool, Pat?
Oh, Matt, I know you've got the policy of not betting divisional games, but
Well, Pat, I'll say this: I feel like the schedulers in the NFL wanted to become Hunger Game schedulers in week number 2 because week 1 did not have the chaos. I sat for a better part of 30 minutes trying to find what I would take this week in a survivor pool because I believe there are 3 games on the docket that do not involve divisional opponents. Like it is, if you go by my philosophy, and it's not a unique one, but to say we're not taking anyone inside of a divisional game situation, you have 3 games basically to pick from. It's brutal this week.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the policy of not wanting to bet divisional games, but I think the layup this week is the Ravens at home against the Browns. And, the way the Ravens lost that game in Buffalo, and the way their schedule early in the season is so murderous. Like this is the one stepping stone game they have early in the season. And after blowing that one at Buffalo, they cannot afford to blow this one. So the Browns are going to have the Ravens' full attention this week. And I don't think this one's going to be any contest. So that would be the first one. And I mean, if you want to go out of division, I guess the one you have to look at is maybe Cardinals against the Panthers, but I just don't feel very much at ease betting the Cardinals, especially the Panthers played kind of a disjointed game. They had that long weather delay in Jacksonville. I think they're a better team than they showed against the Jaguars in week 1. So that one makes me a little nervous. I think you might have to sweat that one if you want to go out of division and take the Cards.
Yeah, I think you have to follow your philosophy, to be quite honest. I mean, the Ravens losing the first 2 games of the regular season, including their home opener against Joe Flacco and company, would be stunning. And I know Joe Flacco has a great history in Baltimore, and I understand this is a divisional game, but I find it really hard to believe that the Baltimore Ravens would lose as double-digit favorites at home to the Cleveland Browns. Like, if that knocks you out of a survivor pool, you just tip your cap and say, okay, you got me. So I think your play is good. The only other play that came to mind when I was looking at this is just continue to fade the Titans and take the Rams. But again, this is a West Coast team going east. The Titans are horrible. The Rams are going to be good. Their defense is going to be very good. But I like what I saw out of Cam Ward. Cam Ward doesn't have a receiving core. Like, Cam Ward doesn't have people to catch the football. If he did, the Titans would have won and beaten the Broncos because Cam Ward in the second half put the ball on a platter, on a tee, numerous times for Calvin Ridley and company, and they couldn't catch it. And I was on the Broncos. All of my survivor pools were on the Broncos, and I was petrified because I was like, thank goodness no one can catch. Because if the Titans had a receiving core, Cam Ward can only throw the ball. He can't catch it. So I'm with you on the Ravens. I think that's a good play. If you don't want to do the division, I think the Rams will win and beat the Titans. I don't think the Titans are going to have that great of a year. I liked what I saw out of the Rams in week number 1. Yes, it's on the road, but I think the Titans are garbage, so I would go with the Rams as the other play for that. Is there anything else besides Ravens-Browns that jumps off the page to you?
No, I mean, I think the Lions are going to come back with a vengeance, but another divisional game, and if I'm going to pick a divisional game, I'd much rather just take a divisional game with a really good team, like burning a good team. I would just rather pick the Ravens than the Lions this week.
And finally, we tell you a game that you should bet right now before the number moves. For you, Pat, what's a game that you would fire on right now here early in the week?
Yeah, it's Lions minus 4.5 over the Bears, Matt. And honestly, I'm surprised the number is this low after the Bears collapsing against the Vikings and blowing a game they shouldn't have blown on Monday night. And, the Lions laid an egg in week 1. But this has become a culture team under Dan Campbell. Like they just a strong team culture. And I feel like culture teams rarely play 2 poor games in a row, and they'll often come back with sort of a vengeance after one bad game in a row, one bad game. So like the Bears just can't be in a great headspace after blowing that game at home. And I still think the Lions are really sound across the board. Good offense. I'm surprised they couldn't run the ball on the Packers. Solid passing game. good defense. I think they're going to make a much better showing of it in week 2 than they did in week 1 and handle the Bears pretty easily at home. So 4.5. I do think this money is going to move towards the Lions at 4.5. Like I expect this to maybe open up at like 5.5 or 6. So I'm jumping on the Lions now.
My only concern with that is whether the Lions offense is actually broken, and that does Ben Johnson's return, does that play some type of like voodoo magic distraction type of thing here with that team, because that's the guy that was calling the plays and that's the guy who had the offense clicking, and Jared Goff feels like his ex-girlfriend's in the building and he's all distracted. Like, that's my only concern with it, because on paper, I think the Lions should win the game going away. And as the night went on, you saw the regression of Caleb Williams. In the first quarter, he was tremendous. In the second quarter, things got a little bit shaky, and then everything just collapsed in the third and the fourth quarter. And you could say that was Brian Flores' defense with the Vikings just kind of figuring out what was happening for Ben Johnson. But I think a lot of it was also that Caleb just started to throw the ball all over the place. And look, he had touchdown passes wide open that he overthrew by 4 or 5 yards in the second half late in that game that could have made it more of a tighter football game. So I'm not inclined to like go and run and jump on this and say, hey, this, Bears team is going to go to Detroit on the road, hostile environment after the team didn't play well. Back-to-back divisional games for the Lions. It wouldn't just be an 0-2 start for the Lions record-wise. It would be 0-2 in the division for Detroit to start the year. So I like your play. I'm going to take the points with the Raiders at home at 3.5. Now, I think the hook is important here. The Chargers and the Raiders historically have played one-score games, and they've played some unbelievable barn burner coming down to the wire last-second type of contests. Home opener, Monday night, Allegiant Stadium. The Chargers, this is one of the few teams that will come to Vegas that do not bring road fans. There's actually going to be a home environment for the Raiders here on Monday night. It's hard to imagine, but when the Chiefs show up or the Broncos show up, that's a road game for the Raiders. Not so with the Chargers showing up. The Raiders also will have to feel really good about themselves as they head home with a 1-0 record, and that means people in Vegas will pay attention and go, oh, Monday night, let's go to the game. There's going to be a pretty cool atmosphere on Monday night in Vegas for this football game, and I know the Chargers looked really good against the Chiefs, but that's travel, international travel, and now you're going on the road. It's a quick little trip to Vegas, but it's still a road trip. It's still not your home, your bed that you're sleeping in. You're getting up and playing a football game against a team that may be better than people think. 3.5 is important, but I would take the Raiders at plus 3.5. How do you feel about Vegas at home?
I like the narratives you laid out, Matt. And, the fact that this has been there've been a lot of tight games in this series historically, but I just talked about Dan Campbell as a culture builder with the Detroit Lions. I think Pete Carroll is going to be the same way for the Raiders. And you could kind of see it on the sidelines with the way he interacted with players in week 1 in that game against the Patriots. So I like this one. I don't know if I have the guts to put my own money on it. I know in a couple of pools where I have to pick every game. So far, I've locked that one in early as the Raiders being my play in that one. But we'll see. You might have talked me into that one, Matt.
If the Raiders win this game and they open up 2-0,
wow,
I think people are going to go, wait a minute, hold on a second. And I made the point in the preseason that the Raiders might be the best 4 seed in football, because I don't think they're as good as the Chiefs, Broncos, or Chargers. Once at the end of the year, I don't think they're going to be as good. I think their secondary's got some issues, and I just think their defense is not going to be as good as we go through the year. They'll be exposed a bit. But early in the year, getting off to a really fast start, you can start to build culture, like you mentioned with Pete Carroll. Guys start to believe. And look, Geno Smith, that this was why I took the Raiders last week. It's because Geno Smith has been sort of like this disrespected quarterback in the NFL for a really long time, and that fits the narrative of the Raiders. I mean, that's their whole deal, that we're disrespected and nobody respects us and no one pays attention to us. And I've bet every year on the Raiders to go over their win total. In the last 3 years, it's hit. I didn't bet it this year because I didn't fully believe, but I'm going to bet them week by week. and I probably will wind up more profitable because I do think this team's going to surprise some people. And to be a home dog in prime time on Monday Night Football, I think the Raiders are going to have a chance to show some people some stuff. And I like Harbaugh a lot. I like Herbert a lot. But I felt like the love was maybe a little bit over the top for the win over the Chiefs, and just what Herbert's going to look like this year, an MVP candidate Herbert. And it's like, okay, hold on a second. Like, it's a long year, and maybe more on what the Chiefs were doing and what they looked like in week number 1 in Brazil than what the Chargers necessarily did. So
there is the concern that maybe the Raiders have to play this one without Brock Bowers and the sprained MCL. I think that's what he has. But the nice thing is, like, if Bowers is ruled out, you're probably getting another point tacked onto this number. I mean, like,
fair.
We're talking about lock it in now numbers, but like I could potentially see this one moving,
but Mayer's not horrible though.
No, he was good in week 1.
They've got a good backup. So I know Bowers, but Bowers wasn't a huge part of the offense. Right. I think it's about Genty to me. It's about a running game and Geno Smith. And I felt like the receivers, again, it could be the Patriots without Christian Gonzalez, but that was a team that the Patriots secondary, they thought that was going to be one of the strengths of the team. And the receivers were open all over the field for the Raiders. And they had big plays, Geno throwing the ball down the field with play action with Genty. So I think you're going to see a similar situation. The Chargers defense is definitely better than the Patriots. There's no debating that. But I think with the chance to watch what they did against the Chiefs, I think they'll score. And again, these teams have played historical games that come down to, 3 points or 6 points. And I think taking 3.5 is a good play. And then if you need to get out of it in game, you might be able to. So I expect a pretty fun game on Monday night. And for me on the East Coast, my gosh, 10 o'clock start time. 10 o'clock start time. Whoa, that's my gosh. It's going to kill me to be up. It's going to be a 1 a.m. Monday night. We're taping this next week, next Tuesday. This is going to be I'm going to be taping my eyelids open, trying to get myself set.
Bring the coffee, Matt. Bring the coffee.
Absolutely. Guys, that is week number 2. If you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. All of our content comes at you. We are fire hosing this year, guys. We're giving you plays, picks, thoughts on so many different plays. If you haven't gone and downloaded the new Betting Pros app, go and do so right now. It's all shiny and new. Picks, plays, and stats and information. We've got curated picks available for you guys as well. It's available for you wherever you get your apps. Go and download the new Betting Pros app right now. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault. We'll talk to you next week for week 3. Early looks of the NFL and Survivor Pool picks here with Betting Pros.